Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Camilleri. Beginning its fifth and final season this week is the beloved spy series, The Americans. Our next guest, Holly Taylor, plays Paige Jennings, the daughter of our Soviet spy characters, who's grown into an adult is at times at odds with the secrets being kept by her parents. Everybody, please welcome Holly Taylor. Hey there.
Hi, do I have to click something on here?
No, it's on.
Okay.
No, you're good.
Sorry.
Yeah, that's all right. Congratulations on the show.
Thank you.
That's like a chapter of your life that's over. What does that feel like?
Especially when it's put like that, it's pretty scary.
Sorry.
No, it's okay. I'm getting it all the time.
Are you guys done shooting the season and everything?
Yeah.
So you've had the wrap party, it's over and done with.
It's all official. But, I'm still like doing stuff like this, and the episodes haven't been on air yet, so it still feels like there's a lot to go.
Yeah. What was it like shooting the last episode? Scene, your rap scene.
My rap scene was a very sad one that I can't tell you why it was sad, but it was really...
Do you die?
I mean, I didn't want to give it away, but it was very emotional, but like a lot of the scenes in The Americans, we shoot overnight and out. There just happens to be a blizzard every time that we shoot outside, even when it's not on the weather forecast. It's like the universe just wants us to suffer as much as possible. So it was like 5 in the morning, and it started snowing out of nowhere, like sideways during the scene. And we had to like move the props that we were using to another part where there was like some kind of shelter, because we'd already shot so much of it without the snow that it was ruining the continuity. And so it was like, I was expecting myself to cry at the end and like for all of it to be really emotional and like hug everyone, but everyone just wanted to go home so bad. It was like, yeah, we'll see you at the premiere. Bye. That was it.
Did that kind of hurt a little bit?
A little bit, but I also felt the same way, especially because I had school the next morning. So I was like, I get it. I'll see them later.
You had school the next morning. It was 5 in the morning, and you were shooting. So you basically had school in a few hours.
Yes, I had school at 9 a.m. statistics for 3 hours. So
that's wild.
Good times.
How old were you when you first started shooting the show?
14.
14.
Yeah.
And did you understand what the show was about? Did you get it at that age and sort of?
I mean, I did on like a basic level. I mean, I knew what I had learned like in 7th grade history class, just kind of like when they skim over the topic. But the depth that this show goes into and the detail that they bring and like the historic accuracy really taught me so much. It's like just reading the script is a history lesson. You learn so much from watching it, and you see a different perspective of the Cold War. It's not just what America went through, it's what Russia went through, and I think that's really informative.
What was it like when they started, when Paige started figuring out who her parents were and what was going on? What was it like getting those scripts?
It was really exciting, but it was also scary because for me, as an actress, whenever I see in a scene, like, my character cries and it's written there, so it's like you have to cry. And a lot of the scenes were like that, and it's kind of nerve-wracking because like that's a hard thing to do on the spot for most people. So
multiple takes too. I mean,
yeah, because especially the scene where they did tell me that they were spies, we did that. I can't even tell you how many times. Like the amount of different camera angles we did, it was like hours we were doing that scene and nonstop crying. Like we were all just exhausted emotionally after it. So to be able to do that was really challenging. But
how do you make yourself cry? What's your trick?
I've tried different things. I've tried watching sad puppy videos. I've tried watching like, when like people from the military come home and see their family for the first time. I tried watching those because those are really sad. Listening to sad music. I've tried it all, but nothing like really works in the moment. Like just like being in the moment. Working with Matthew and Carrie, they're so talented that it feels like whatever you're doing in the scene is really happening, and it kind of just brings up the emotion very naturally. So I appreciate getting to work with such talented people.
Yeah, what was it like having them play your parents for a few years?
It was awesome. I mean, even though like Elizabeth yelled at me sometimes and made me mop the floor in the middle of the night, it was fine. They're such great people, and they're, like I said, very talented. They're very fun despite the darkness of the show, so I've just been really lucky.
The Americans, one of the things that I've always loved about the show is that even though it is dark, and it's a somewhat sort of cold tone, you do get the sense that the actors really enjoy doing these characters and being a part of the show. Is that just because the material is so good?
I think that's definitely a part of it, and that helps just everything about the show in general. But we all do enjoy making the show, and even though, like I said, a lot of the times it's under really harsh conditions, and we're freezing outside, and we have to pretend we're not, or like our mouths are frozen and we can't say words, but it's like we're all happy to be there, and we know that it's such an awesome show, and we're getting to play these like really strong characters that it makes it all worth it.
Do you watch the show on your own?
Yeah, I watch it like as it comes out every week. Yeah, so I've only seen the first episode so far.
So you're a big fan of the show on your own?
Yeah, I like the show. I think that it's really smart, and that's what I like about it. You really have to pay attention and watch every little thing, and I love that I've gotten to play a character who's a female teenager who her whole storyline the past 6 years hasn't been about like a boy she likes or, you know, being popular in school. It's such a rare storyline of somebody who actually has like more to their life, you know, than that little bubble of adolescence. Everything is so much bigger than her, and she has these huge decisions to make, and she's such a strong person. I think that even with Elizabeth's character, she's a really strong female, and that's why I like watching the show.
Are you worried that for like the next phase of your career, coming from something like this, you're going to be getting scripts that are like liking the boy or not liking the boy, or, you know, sort of thin stories versus something like this?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of those out there, and I see them a lot, so it's hard to... The Americans is such like a high quality show. It's really scary to go on to something else. I want to, you know, keep up that caliber, and they've given me such a great character to play and a show to be on. It's like, even the crew was like, we don't know what we're going to do next. This has been so great. So it's scary.
What was it like shooting those scenes with Carrie where she's training you?
Those are fun. I mean, she's badass too in those scenes. Like, we'll be like, you know, fighting each other, and they choreograph it so well so that way, like, you know, it can look like you're really going at someone, but obviously, like, you don't want to hit them. And so when I first started, I was kind of more, like, hesitant because I was just worried about not actually hurting anybody. And, but she's like, no, like, just go for it. If you hit me, it's fine. It's fine. We're just in the scene, you know? She's like, let's get into it. And she's such, like, a champ about everything, and she makes it really fun. And
did you ever accidentally hit her?
No, but she accidentally hit me. There was one where you're supposed to like cup your hand and like hit the person's ear. And so it's really, really horrible if it's done like full force, because it just vibrates through your whole skull, and it kind of feels like you go deaf for a minute. And so they had her just doing like a little above my ear, so it wasn't exactly that. But in one of them, she kind of got me a little, and like the whole room I was like just ringing the entire time for the rest of the scene. But that's how it would have been in real life, so you just got to deal with it.
What do you like most about Playing Paige?
Like I said, just how strong she is and how much of an individual. I think that she hasn't even really had any friends, which is really sad. Like, her only friend was her pastor. So
it's really sad.
It's really sad. Like, for 6 years, she's in college now, and she still doesn't have friends. So she's just such a different character from everything else that you see, and she doesn't care about, like, the latest fashions or things like that. She cares about like fighting for world peace and, you know, getting rid of nuclear weapons, and now siding with her mom and fighting for the Soviet Union. And in some part, she's siding a little bit. So, like I said, it's just a unique role to play.
Yeah. What did you when they told you the 5th season was going to be the final season? When was that?
I think they told us last season, or maybe the end of season 4. I said they were picking us up for 2 more, and then that was going to be it. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Don't quote me on that. I have a very bad memory.
That's okay. So do I.
Okay.
And were you sort of happy that they were going to sort of end the story on their own terms, or were you sort of are you sad to see it go?
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't like happy because now I don't have a job, you know. So that's
that's okay.
I know. I've been working since I was 11, so like this feels very weird right now. But I don't know. I was excited, though, that they were ending it on a high note. You know, they weren't going to, like, drag it out. And it is a historical piece of the Cold War. We all know how the Cold War ended. So it's like they couldn't just, you know, keep dragging it on forever. So I think that it's better to go out on a high note than just, you know, drag it out for years, and then people get bored of it, and it's like, oh, that show could have been great, but it wasn't.
What was your first job at 11?
I was on Billy Elliot on Broadway.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so you're like initially a theater kid.
Not really.
Dancer,
I was
or?
a dancer, yeah, since I was 3. And so I just came home one day when I was like 4, and I was like, Mom, Dad, I want to be on Broadway. And they're from Europe, so like they didn't really even know what Broadway was.
Where
they were
in
like
Europe?
Ireland and Scotland.
Oh, okay.
So they were like, okay, sweetie, like you do that.
But you
And
lived in New York?
New Jersey.
Oh, New Jersey. Okay.
Yeah. So they just like took me to dance classes and stuff, and then my dance teacher would post like open call for this show or that show, and I went to like this huge cattle call for Billy Elliot, and after a couple callbacks and stuff, I ended up there, and that was all of middle school I did that.
And when did you start acting?
I started acting probably after I left Billy Elliot. Like, I had never really done acting before then, and I still hadn't done that many classes or anything before I got the Americans, because I started that my freshman year of high school. So I really only had like a year in between. It was very lucky how it all worked out.
Were you nervous going into the Americans, not having done much acting when you were 14?
Yeah, I was really nervous, especially because when I was younger, I mean, Billy Elliot helped a little bit, but I was really shy. So acting was really hard for me because it was, you weren't allowed to be shy anymore. You had to like be so vulnerable and show all these emotions. Paige started out as such like, I don't know, like a minimal character. It was just kind of the kid in the background in a way. So luckily it wasn't like too much weight to carry in the beginning. And I think they gave me a nice job, like just easing into the severity of the role and how it grew.
Yeah, they really built the character up gradually, and now she's a humongous part of the storyline.
Yeah, thankfully. I'm very lucky for how they did it, and I think that it helped a lot, like easing me into it and just giving me little bits at a time. They were like testing me, like, let's see if she can do this. Let's see how many hours she can cry for. So it worked out nicely.
Do you have a favorite scene that you were in, or a favorite shoot?
My favorite scene, it wasn't actually about the scene. It was just because Kedrick, the boy who plays Henry, embarrassed himself. So it was funny. We're like real brother and sister, so we make fun of each other all the time. And it was that scene in season 1 where we went hitchhiking, almost got kidnapped, and he smashes the beer bottle over the guy's head, and we had to like run away. And he was making like some like snarky comment at me, like a little brother thing. And I was like, yeah, like whatever. And then as soon as he said it, he like face planted into the ground, and we couldn't stop laughing. It was supposed to be a really serious scene, and we couldn't stop laughing the whole time. That was
your
my
favorite moment of the show, the entire show, is the moment your co-star smashed their face.
He didn't get hurt or anything.
That's great.
Just emotionally hurt. He was, but it's okay. It was so funny. He thought it was funny too.
What are your plans after the show? What are you thinking about?
I don't know. I'm still auditioning, and I'd like to keep acting, see if something comes up. And I'm going to school, so I'm just kind of.
Where are you going to school?
Kane University in New Jersey.
Are you studying acting?
No, studying graphic design.
Wow, what made you want to study graphic design?
One of my best friends since kindergarten went to that school and started studying it, and she was like obsessed with it. And I saw the stuff that she was doing, because I was originally just doing advertising and PR. And it was just like, I wanted to do something that was more creative, but at the same time had like a business side to it. And I felt like could be a reliable backup plan, if this didn't work out, or if I decided I wanted to do something else. And I felt like that was a good choice. So it's like a happy medium.
That's going to be amazing if that's what you fall back on in 10 years or something. You're in some office doing graphic design. They're going to be like, that's the girl from the Americans, right? Like,
you would think so, but even when I go to school, nobody has any idea. Like, I have to go to class tonight, and my group is like, can we meet at 6? Can we go there to like record our diversity video? And I'm like, I don't know if I'll make it back like from press at 6, but I don't say that to them because they don't know. So I'm just like, I'll see if I can get home from work on time, and they have no idea. I'm literally like Hannah Montana.
It's a strange thing, right? You don't necessarily want to advertise to people that you're doing press or that you're in this show.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I don't know, because I feel like I don't want people to think that like I get anything because like I'm on a show, or like if a teacher like cuts me some slack on something, I don't want them to be like, oh, well, like that's because she's on a show. Like, I want everyone to know that like first and foremost comes like my work ethic and like my studies, and that's like my priority. And I even try like not to tell my teachers that I'm on the show, but because of the schedule and the weirdness of this job and how I have to be absent sometimes with the absence policies, like I have to tell them. And for years I wouldn't. I would just be like, well, my job, like I'm really sorry, it has a weird schedule, and no one would understand. So my mom was like, Holly, I know you don't want to, but like you have
like
to
you're
tell
15,
them you're on a
what
show.
Job?
I know, that's the thing. It was like, but it's been really challenging trying to figure out the college schedule with it, but hopefully it's gonna work out.
Well, it's a strange thing, though, right? Because I think being on a show like The Americans, it's completely different than this, but I have a similar thing where I don't like to tell people that I spend my day interviewing celebrities or actors and directors, for some reason. I don't know why, because the tone of a conversation changes.
Yeah,
definitely. Like when you tell someone you're an actress, it's like, fine. And then you say, oh, I'm on The Americans. Oh, my God, you're on The Americans?
Yeah, that's the thing, because it's like now... It's like being a model. Like if you tell someone you're a model, you're like, okay, like do you just take pictures of yourself in your bathroom and post them on Instagram, or like are you working like as a model, or like are you an actress, like you just kind of do like stuff on the side, or like or like bigger scale stuff, which like there's no, like both of them are fine, but it's like it kind of comes with a stigma sometimes of like, you know how like in movies and stuff when people are like, oh, she's an actress, it's like the prissy girl who like just cares about the designer labels and like the red carpet and the glamour of it, but like it's really not all that glamorous behind it, so it's like when you tell people you're an actress, they're kind of like, oh, like I know who she is,
And you also don't want to ruin that glamour for other people because it's such a downer for them,
Yeah.
I
love ruining the glamour.
Oh, really? Because it's such a job for you. So when you talk about it, you almost like have to be like, oh, it's so great. Otherwise, they're going to be kind of like, oh, why aren't you as excited about your job as I am?
Oh, no. I think it's great because people have no idea. So it's like when I was in high school and I was having to work until 5 a.m. and then show up at 7 for class, and people would be like, oh, well, like you're just on a TV show. Like, how hard can it be? Which, like, there are jobs that are a lot harder than being on a TV show. Like, it is still a very nice job to have. But there are, like, some long hours that go with it, and, like, it can be challenging sometimes, and people don't see that. So I think that's important because otherwise they're just kind of like these unattainable people, And it's like, but they are just human beings and they're working hard just like everyone else.
Yeah. Let's get some questions from our audience. Who's a question?
Hi.
Hi.
Hey. I was wondering if we were to jump, to a show about Paige like 10, 15 years in the future, where do you think she'd be?
That is a deep question. Matthew always says that they think that I would be Monica Lewinsky, which I hope not. I would like Paige to, I don't know. We always said that maybe she would be like a senator or something, maybe. But would she be a senator like for America, or would she be spying as a senator? You never know. So I think that even in season 6, Paige still isn't 100% sure about where she wants to go with her life. So, and neither am I. Neither is Holly. That's a hard question. I don't know where I'm going to be in 10 years.
Next question.
Well, hello. I was wondering, adolescence is a very tumultuous time. And from a self perspective, how does your objective of what you're doing change over that period of time, and do you predict it will change even more, or have you achieved a certain sense of surety about yourself?
Me or Paige?
You as a human being.
Me. I think that, like you said, it is very tumultuous, and there's a lot of changes and, crazy things that go along with adolescence, and it's like coming out of high school and picking your major for college, and you're expected to know exactly what you want to do forever, but you're only 17, How are you supposed to know exactly what you want to do when you're 53? So I think that being on The Americans has had me learn a lot about myself, and school has had me learn a lot about myself, but I still am changing, and I think that just like my character is, we're both kind of in the unknown, even though we've become sure of like our moral compass and what we think is right and wrong, and we've kind of grown into our own like maybe political opinions in some way. But the older you get, even past adolescence, you can still always learn and change, and there's always room for that. So I don't know.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. Whew, getting deep over here.
Yeah, I like
Sweating.
the confidence with which you handled that question. If I was 19 and somebody asked me the question, I'm like, I'm not answering that. Don't put me in that. Don't make me think about
I
that.
have it all written down on my hand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The next question.
Hi.
Keep it light.
Hi. What's my favorite color or something like that?
My brother graduated from Kane also.
Oh, cool.
I know you've done some short films also, or some films on the side. Do you think now that you have some more time, you would maybe try to focus more on film, or would you want to go into another TV show with a long schedule?
I think I would like to do anything. I mean, I like film, and I think that it looks really fun, and I would love to do some kind of like comedy film. I think that would be cool. Change it up a little bit. But also TV has been really great, and I like the consistency of it, and especially if you're lucky enough to get picked up for another season, or even get picked up from a pilot is really hard. So I don't know. I think that it's a little more consistent, maybe has a better schedule, but I don't know. It's like both of them have their pros and cons. I'll kind of take whatever I can get, not to sound desperate.
Season 6 of The Americans, it premieres this week, right? What night? Is
Wednesday at 10.
Wednesday night at 10. Tune in. It's one of the best shows on television. I'm sad to see it go. Everybody give Holly a round of applause. Let's hear it.